Hello YouTube. This is the first time I'm doing my very own Magic the Gathering deck profile. Although I've only done a few games and that was on the first day I started playing Magic, I was hoping I'd be able to look through and go through my strategy in Modern with the deck I've already created with my own ideas that I customized. Based on my thoughts, I think it's a fun, powerful deck, and I've had other people look at my deck, go through it, and compliment it, give their thoughts and opinions. They believed it was a really fun deck, but this might not be the deck for meta, but this is the deck I prefer in my opinion. So instead of just gawking, I would rather just go through the profile and proceed. Starting off, we got the Scorpion God. This is just I had tried playing multiple copies of this card, but I felt like one was the right ratio because eventually you'll see in a bit as to why I'm playing this card. Because this is a pad. This deck is based on a battle cruiser deck with red and black, and he is a target for the next card I'll eventually be showing in late games in the endless loop. We starting off for my one-offs for the one black is this 2 double Sanitarium Skeleton. He's a card I could be able to use with my new other combo with Hazoret The Fervent, where she's a creature who's indestructible with haste. That anytime if you discard, you can inflict 2 damage to both players' HP, as long as you discard a card. But with this card, it makes the effect become more continuous, because looping, the whole point is this card loops itself. You can either summon it as a one black creature, or use it for the discard pile, and then eventually deal 2 damage whenever you feel like it. Sorry. My next mana one, we got 4 Bomat Courier. I've been hearing good things about this card because whenever it attacks, it's able to get you a search. It has haste, and the more 4 is a valid number for the effect to go off. My mana 4 creature with 2 black is a 3 Abyssal Persecutor. Its effect is confusing, but it's easy to summon with 6/6. Has the ability to use flying and trample. And there are cards I can come up with to get rid of, because the first effect, although it seems pretty gimmicky, there's ways of still getting rid of it. It's up to you or your opponent. I got the obvious one Glorybringer because I'm playing a red deck. I feel like he's a must-off, and like whenever he is another tech that you can use to you could be opted with, whether you want to be able to end games or summon him when needed. And the whole point of this deck is 4 Flamewake Phoenix. At first, I didn't understand this card very well, but it's a flying haste with the ability Ferocious. My deck has tons of creatures with 6 power or 4, but when you have a creature with 4 power, you can automatically revive it with simply just 1 red mana. It comes back from the graveyard to the battlefield instantly, and then it immediately attacks, considering it's both flying and haste. And most important card is 2 Hazoret The Fervent. Although it's a legendary creature, you might want to be able to control 1, but having 2 is simply so you can be able to see it more often. A powerful searcher, although you might not don't want to see most of. Etali, Primal Storm, a legendary dinosaur creature that's also an elder dinosaur with both power, toughness of 6. Although it might not attack immediately, the whole point is that you attack with it to be able to banish from both players' libraries, and then you could be able to cast it regardless, as long as not land. Superb and impossible creature to get rid of. Another 4 mana creature with 2 black, Desecration Demon. I've had people who've been struggling to defend against this card. No, there is definitely ways of stopping it, but this card is just one way of saying that I fucked you over. And moving forward to the spells, I got my 2 Planeswalker of Chandra, Torch, Defiance. This card is definitely amazing. No surprise there. I was able to get the last copies for much cheaper, considering this card is like a high quality price card. Basically has four abilities. Four if it's based on if you use this loyalty counters correctly. You basically get more effects as long as you defend this creature. I mean this planeswalker with the amount of creature I have already on my field. And it is a must because it allows your deck to become more consistent, just like the other monsters I served in my library that I've shown you, who could be of great assistance and who have a lot of synergy with this card. And another card that can help me go off on my opponent is double unlicensed disintegration. Considering, like I mentioned, Bomat Courier, I might have not mentioned this before, but Bomat Courier is an artifact. If you basically with 3 mana with the 1 red, 1 black, you're able to destroy your opponent's target creature. Plus, if you already have an artifact card that's face up on your field, destroy that, and you get to deal 3 points of damage to your opponent's HP. A very similar card to Unlicensed Desecration, but not as powerful, maybe more powerful or less, to Abrade. Although I haven't seen much play from this card because I barely got to use it. It's one of those cards I need if I want to be able to, for in a mirror match, if I want to destroy my opponent's other artifacts, or any artifact, to be precise, or to go off on my opponent's monster if I feel that I'm in imminent danger. And another beautiful combo piece, 2 Fling. I don't want to heavily brick with this card, so I feel 2 is necessary. Basically, because if I'm about to end my opponent, I can go off with the next Fling, and then just keep attacking to the point where my opponent doesn't have enough HP, and I have a creature with 6. Although considering most of my creatures are power 6, that should be enough to give me the lead. 2 Fatal Push for obvious reasons. It's a 1 mana black, and it's a way of destroying an easy creature, easy side out, any creature that might be weak, but at the same time can destroy a powerful creature if one of your creatures leave the field. And Staff of Nin, another handy card that you can use for late game, just a one of. It's a draw card, and plus you can be able to inflict 1 damage to either target player or creature. Temper Bell for obvious reasons for extra draw power. Font of Mythos, although it might not be great, I prefer to play instead of 2 Temple with Font of Mythos because I got advice that sure you're the last person to draw 2 cards, but at the same time if your opponent draws they'll be able to force to discard each time this card is in play. Another handy card is Mind's Eye. It does the same things all my other draw cards with all the other artifacts. Anytime your opponent draws a card, you can pay 1 mana to draw an extra card as well. And moving forward, I have the lands, got 24, 3 Blood Crypts, so I can go straight into my plays. 1 Mikokoro, Center of the Sea. This is a legendary land that I would use because it combos heavily well with Mind's Eye and gets me X plus. It helps me combo with my draw ability and the ability to make sure I have enough mana. Another land is Miren the Moaning Well, in case I need to get rid of Abyssal Persecutor, plus I gain that life and the extra mana. And the Sands, the same thing with the same combo. Not the best card, but it helps me even protect my Desecration Demon, and then eventually, last effect, I can revive it afterwards. 2 Gravern Cairns, in case if I want to swap out my mountains, my swamps or mountains in exchange with the swamp to mountain or any color that belongs with swamp and mountain. For Dragonskull Summit, so I can immediately be able to use my red and black. And 4 Blackcleave Cliffs, which is my best land, for the fact I want to be able to go first and use my cards immediately as fast as possible. Like I mentioned, 4 mountains to go off with my Dragonskull Summit, and obvious because they're even with 4 swamps to help me go off with my battle cruiser monsters and to immediately give me the advantage for my creatures and any other cards that apply outside of creatures, which I heavily depend on. And give me a moment. Continuing forward, I have the side deck. 2 Abrade for the same reason. If my opponent's playing a bunch of artifacts, I get rid of them. 2 Kunros of case whenever so I can depend when I can defeat my opponent, if I have the lead or not, but still may be a risky card, but at the same time, very handy in useful late game. Bifrost for the same thing because I don't like artifacts and because I'm on my deck to play all around as possible. The X meaning I can remove any number of mana plus a red to destroy that many target artifacts. Like I mentioned again, I'm playing an all around deck. I got 2 Relic of Progenitus because plus I just remove a card. I can remove 1 card from my opponent's graveyard, but at the same time, I can remove this card and remove every single card in the graveyard. I feel that grave presence is becoming a factor, or is hindering my deck. 2 Duress for the simple fact you want to get rid of your opponent's spells as fast as possible, because a lot of players don't want to make sure they don't have the strategies to make their opponent go on and off, or to make sure you become more resilient in the game, and it's most popular being in the side deck. And for my saga enchantment is Phyrexian Scriptures, because I feel that this card combos well with the deck I'm playing, and most of you just want to see one, and it does a lot. Like I mentioned, it's an all-around card. Bontu's Last Reckoning, simply for that I want to destroy all my opponent's creatures, but I would not rely on do some because I'm forced to not use my mana as much. And the whole point is I want to use my mana as much as possible. 1 Sweltering Suns for almost the replacement for Bontu's Last Reckoning, because it allows me to gain another draw card. Plus, it does 3 damage to each creature that resides on the field. If need be, because I have more options, I want to decide whether I'll draw or to do as much damage to my opponent's creatures and my creatures regardless, but it's still a factor. And just in case, my 1-ofs are Unlicensed Disintegration and Fling to replace the Fatal Push, or eventually just want to see it often to hinder my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and I'm hoping to hear your opinions and thoughts. If you're a Magic fan, or whether you believe this deck isn't good enough. I request some type of interest in the game, in this deck, and whether you feel that this is a fun deck, or if you consider this deck to be very powerful for Modern in that regard, based on my card choices. And yeah, have a nice day.